Okay, so we're going to be putting together a basic audio playback QLab. Now, here's how this works, and it's really straightforward. We're going to use our files that we put together. QLab accepts MP3, MP3, AIFF, and WAV, and nothing else. If you've got something else, run it through a converter and hope for the best. All you need to do is drag and drop. We're going to drag and drop our files as needed. All right. To get rid of a file, Command X. Command X. Okay, now let's look at some more information about these files. The first and most important is the target. This shows you exactly what the queue is referencing, which file to play back. If you take away anything from this video, once you have dropped your file into your show, do not move where it is in your file manager. If it's on your desktop, leave it in your desktop. If it's in your downloads, leave it there. You will lose that target and you won't know what to reference, and it'll create a big old headache for you. Trust me. We have a name, we can edit what we call it, or we can double click here to call it, but we'll just call it song. Notes, which will show up here and up in here. So here we go. And then over here is where it gets look. We also have highlights, just for whatever kind of reference you might need. Number, we can do any sort of number we need. We can do 0, we can do 100, we can even do letters. All right, we have our duration, which that one's pretty straightforward, admittedly. And then we have our pre and post wait. Pre-wait is the time between firing a cue with the go button and then the cue actually going off being fired. You may use this one. Post wait is the time after the cue being fired before the next thing happens. You're probably not going to use post wait very much at all, if ever. And then we have our continuances, which is great if we need to do stuff automatically. We have our auto continue, which just means it's like the same as a group. It'll follow one after another and it'll all go at the same time. Or we have the auto follow, where as soon as an item is completed, it will fire the next one. I recommend using auto follow, especially during your pre-show. All right. We have our triggers, which you will not need to really use any of this. I would just ignore it. Our time and loop, which is where we can set where we want the track to start. We want to start it at 10 seconds. You can see where it cuts off in the waveform. Same with the end. If we want it to end at 12 seconds, we can cut it off in the waveform. We can set how many times we want this to play for, or if we just want to do it on an infinite loop. We can also use integrated fade and set our own fade outs. Simple things. It'll get what you need to do. You can also speed it up by using that different rate. And you can preserve the pitch, which will be helpful. Audio levels. We have our master and then a left and a right. Sometimes they use it, sometimes it doesn't. You can see in this case, I'm using the master to drag up and down the volume, but it is using a left and a right. Then we have our audio output patch. This is important. This will tell QLab where to output your sound to. For our sake, using our X32, it'll label as X USB. In this case, it's my MacBook Air speakers, because I obviously don't have one. You need to make sure that everything is set to the right patch or else it won't play. Audio trim and audio effects are things that you will never need to touch for audio playback. You really won't need to ever use triggers, trim, or effects in your time at Weaver. That is pretty much the basics of an audio playback. Oh, I have one more thing I can show you. I'll demonstrate the auto follow. We want this song to go into the next one. So you'll set it to auto follow, and when this is done, it'll auto follow into the next. Here's the catch. You cannot fast forward through it. You have to wait the entire proper 3 minutes for it to go on to the next one. That is the end of this section.